More Gospel, chapter 20. Turn the other cheek. You have heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 48. It was the summer of 1971. I had just graduated from high school that spring and was heading for college in the fall. All summer, I had been painting houses as a summer job to save up money for college. By August, I had a dark tan, and my very curly hair had grown into a small afro, which was a popular style at that time. As I walked around at the state fair that summer, I was often greeted by blacks who thought I was black. One Friday night that summer, I went to one of the local small-town bars that was very popular with teenagers. It was very crowded, and I was socializing with some of my friends. As I stood there, someone grabbed my hair from behind. Instinctively, I reached up to brush the hand away, and I turned around to see who it was. As soon as I turned, a big fellow hit me ferociously right in the face with his right and left fists. I was knocked to the floor, and my glasses went flying from my face. As I got to my knees, the stranger grabbed the front of my shirt with his both hands and pulled me close to his face. I was in a complete state of shock because I had no idea who he was or why he had just decked me. I had never been in a fight and really wasn't the fighting type of guy. Even though this occurred 4 years before my conversion to Christ, and I wasn't living a good Catholic life at all, I said something which I guess had been implanted deep in my heart from my childhood religious instruction. I said, I'm not going to fight you because Jesus says we shouldn't fight. These words surprised me, and they definitely surprised him. He looked at me in a strange way for a moment, and then he smashed my face with his right forearm. I didn't resist at all. Then he switched his grip and smashed my face with his left forearm. Again, I offered no resistance. He looked at me in a strange fashion and then walked away. He got in a car with some buddies and they drove away. I never saw him before or since that day, and I have no idea who he was or why he wanted to beat me up. My only guess is that in the dim light of the crowded bar, he must have thought that I was a black man, and he had a hatred for blacks. Reflecting on this incident, I have come to understand a little of what Jesus meant when he said, "If someone strikes you on one cheek, offer him the other cheek as well." Most people think of this as a ridiculous teaching and would never follow it. Our natural urge is to hit back, and that's what most people would do. Having turned the other cheek and experienced the results, I see the wisdom in the Lord's words. It's true that if you turn the other cheek, you will get hit again. I did. But it is also true that eventually the person will stop hitting you and the violence will come to an end. Violence begets violence, and it becomes a vicious circle without end. Every time a person strikes back, he has just provided his opponent with a new reason to strike again. Until one of them is dead or unable to continue, the violence will rage on unabated. We see this violent pattern with individuals and with nations and ethnic groups. Northern Ireland, the Middle East, Rwanda, and many other places on earth quickly come to mind. Jesus knew the answer to this vicious circle of violence. He knew that someone had to absorb the pain and injustice inflicted by an evil act and not strike back. When a person doesn't hit back from repeated blows, it is like holding up a mirror to the perpetrator and making him look at himself. Eventually, he will see himself and his actions for what they really are, unjust. My passivity makes him ask himself, why am I hitting this man? He is no threat to me. Eventually, he has no reason to hit me, and he will stop. This may take quite a long time to sink into his mind, but it will work eventually. I may have to suffer a lot, but it's worth it, because there would be a lot more suffering for a lot more people if I struck back and started an unending cycle of violence. Jesus was teaching that we must absorb injustice to the best of our ability. I don't think that Jesus was a pacifist who would always condemn the use of force. Not at all. There is a place for the forceful restraint of evil men who cannot be stopped in any other way. But to the best of our ability, we must strive to absorb the failings of others in our lives and resist the urge to strike back. Resist the urge. This is extremely important for the health of all of our personal relationships. The Apostle James wrote, "If you go on biting and tearing at one another, beware lest you destroy each other." Absorb the evil and injustice as Jesus did on the cross. Save a little part of the world from the cycle of violence.